So for 20 odd years now, I have been very happily part of the Adidas family, and a bright pair of shiny white Adidas trainers are a pretty awesome look. They're just not the best when you're traipsing through a gorgeous wine estate and it's been raining for most of the day. So instead of absolutely wrecking my almost brand new shoes, how about these instead? Now, if you stay at the hotel at Babylonstoren, there's a pair of these in your size in your room. So the size 10s are out. I'm going to be saved. And as I walk through the quite glorious gardens of Babylonstoren, I'm going to have the perfect footwear for the job. And voila, one footwear change, and I'm 100% farmer. So this is an adventure I've been looking forward to for some time, bringing together the great success story that is Babylonstoren Rosé, the gardens for which the estate is famous, and then the link to the Chelsea Flower Show, because Klaus, this has become synonymous with the show, a great South African rosé that finds itself as an official wine at one of the great London events of the year.
Yeah, Dan, it's an amazing story. It started off as a very small project where, we've got 1 hectare on the farm. We had 1 hectare on the farm in the beginning. And it's actually started off as a sort of a fluke. We sort of forgot about the block. And the end of harvest, we said, well, what are we going to do with the block? We're not going to blend into the Shiraz. Let's make a rosé. And we sat with a bit of sugar, residual sugar, and we made 5,000 bottles the first year. And it sold, in 4 months just in the tasting room. The next year we did another shot, fermented it dry, and it sold out in 3 months. And we knew, listen, we've got something going here. And today we are the official rosé for the Chelsea Flower Show.
Oh, that's a huge deal, because this is not a small flower show.
No, it's just Dan. I think it's officially the biggest flower show in the world, and showing the rosé days, for the last 5 years as the official rosé of the Chelsea Flower Show. It's just something amazing, not only for Babylonstoren but also for South Africa. This year we actually had David Beckham coming, and we also met the King. So they didn't drink a glass of rosé. But
I'm glad you have them in that order. David Beckham, then the King.
I think all the friends I had a big affection when they saw the photo of David Beckham with us. So we sent him away with a nice bottle of rosé. So
and he's a big wine fan.
Very big wine fan, also a big garden fan, and that's why we're walking in the Babylonstoren garden, and that's our connection with the RHS. It's the Royal Horticultural Society, and Babylonstoren is the first official RHS garden in Africa, and that's how we got sort of invited to be the official rosé of the Chelsea Flower Show.
Now the garden link is clear, and you have a magnificent garden, and asking you to be the rosé makes sense, but it would have to be not just because you've got a very nice garden, but because you have wine that lives up to an event of that magnitude. So that's a little bit of pressure.
It's definitely, I think that's where my grey hair comes from. I think rosé is one of the most difficult wines to make in terms of colour. One of the famous Provence rosé makers once said, you buy a rosé with your eyes. And that's one thing, rosé tended to be very dark and sweet in South Africa. And over the years, we tend to make a bit more of a Provence style rosé. And, it caught on to a lot of people in South Africa, but also worldwide. And, up till today, it's our biggest volume seller. It started off as 5,000 bottles. I'm not going to mention the bottles we make now, but just to give you an idea, we sold roughly 16,000 bottles just in the week of Chelsea, so that was quite amazing.
The story of rosé in South Africa, for a long time it was almost an afterthought, right? We've got a parcel of leftover, we've got these grapes, oh well, let's just make some rosé. And now it's very much a made-for-purpose wine. These are specifically for the wine we want to make in the style that we want to make it.
I think that's the big success of our story of rosé. We from the beginning decided, the first year was a bit of a fluke, and we said, well, let's pick it and make a rosé. But from the second year, we said, well, let's pick it for rosé. I think most of your rosés in South Africa, but also in the world, is sort of an after-thought process, where you have your Cabernet Sauvignon picked very ripe for Cabernet Sauvignon for red wine. And then normally what happens is people take 5 to 10% juice off the skins very early. and make a rosé from that. And then what happens is you get more darker fruit flavors, and you get a bit more heavier tannins, and also the color is naturally darker because you've got a lot of anthocyanins sitting in there because it's, you know, a very ripe stage. But what we said is let's pick it at the right sugar level for the perfect alcohol level for after fermentation, and also then capturing the red fruit flavors. And that's why, you know, Dan, when you taste the wine, you've got these lovely strawberries and watermelon and a bit of that rhubarb on the nose, and just a lovely crisp acidity. That's all natural acidity sitting there because of that earlier picking. So I think also that makes the wine a bit more complex is, you know, we also keep a small percentage in clay amphora, and also a bit of in cement nomlot eggs that you'll see in the cellar a bit later. But then the rest will all be kept in stainless steel. So totally there to capture the aroma and to sort of keep it as good as possible before bottling. So that's why we do a minimum of half an hour to an hour skin contact in the press. So we'll pick everything by hand. We don't do any machine harvest. We will then de-stem the grapes but keep the berries whole. We don't crush the berries. Then it will go into our press. And so over the years we fine-tuned our press programs and work a lot with, you know, press fractions that we add for color, because obviously when you just start the draining process with the free run, there's literally no color. Yeah, so you can cut back a little bit on or blend back a bit of the press fraction and sort of get your color perfect every year, but it's still a daunting process.
There's so much balance in all of wine that's important. Part of the balance I suspect you are striving for is creating something that has the playfulness and the whimsy of a rosé, but still remaining a serious wine.
Yeah, it's like today, you know, people will say today is a rainy day, and it's, you know, it's almost like a bit of that London weather, like in Chelsea. But we're sitting with a rosé that's very versatile. You know, we normally jokingly say you can have this with a lovely eggs Benedict in the morning, with a lovely lunch, with a crispy, with a beautiful salad. People shouldn't break their heads about it. You know, it must be a quaffable, very enjoyable wine.
You've done a wonderful job with the wine. You've done a wonderful job with celebrating South Africa. And when you have David Beckham and the King in a queue to get a photo with Klaas and his wine, you know you've done something right.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dan. I think it's just important to notice that it's a massive team effort. You know, we've got an amazing vineyard team, amazing cellar team, and also a marketing team. You know, without those guys, nothing is possible. And I think also as a brand, South Africa, you know, we've such an amazing brand behind us, and you know, we've been winning everything these days. So it's great to be on the pedestal also with the rosé.
On that note, we'll raise a glass to everybody watching in New Zealand, just as a reminder of some of the things we have won of late. Klaas talks about the team. Well, there are more members of the team to meet. So once I finish this glass, and maybe just the one more, I'm off to discover some more of this quite remarkable place. From the wonders of the garden at Babylonstoren to one of the more natural home for many of those said wonders, because Skulk, it's not just a beautiful garden to look at and to enjoy and to stroll through, but it's also home, I'd imagine, to many of the ingredients that find their way into your kitchen.
Oh, sure. So nice having you here, Dan. Yeah, Barbel's really one of our, I almost want to say the custodian of our products. We really feel Barbel's the place where everything comes together. So we try and, at Barbel, pretty much look at it as a place where we want to filter all the ingredients through, and it almost becomes like a showcase to the guests. So it is, yeah, it is a home for our ingredients, if I could say so.
To what degree is it, right, I'm the chef, I'm in charge, I want you to grow these things, and you're wandering through and stumble across something, oh, I think I might be able to use that in a dish?
Well, I think that it can't be further from that. I'm actually really guided by the gardeners and the guy working with the meat, or the butchers or the cheesemakers. I'm actually the last person that gets to, you know, I just bring it together. So they really come to me and say, we're growing amazing celeriac at the moment, or you need to try the tomatoes, they're really good, or they're perfect in 2 weeks, or our peas are coming in. yeah, it's almost like it's super collaborative, but they guide the menu. They guide the menu. We don't really want the credit, if I could say it like that. We really want them to shine. They put in a lot of hard work. We do too, but they are really they hold the skills to bring that ingredient to life.
The garden from which all of this comes is exquisite, and I've just spent half an hour skipping hand in hand through it with class and reenacting Sound of Music moments. And the wine that he gave me there, understandably, was the official wine of the Chelsea Flower Show, and I really, really enjoy that rosé, and it's a far more complex wine than you might immediately imagine. And so before we jumped on camera, I'd asked you to nip into your extraordinary kitchen and come up with something that could bring the best out of that rosé. I think you've got something ready for me. I'm waiting to be surprised. I know the wine that's coming, but I can't wait to see what you've given me to pair with it.
Yeah, so we've actually made a dish that we have on the menu at the moment. Jonathan's going to bring it over for us, and it's a very different dish to have in winter. So we don't have or usually have tomatoes in winter, and we have an amazing woman named Alzay that works in our garden, and she manages our tunnel system that we have at the top of the garden, and that's given us the ability to create or get a few products that's not in season, if I can say that, that's grown out of its peak. I mean, summer is in when there's sun, and there's absolutely no sun at the moment, but we're getting the most beautiful tomatoes at the moment from these tunnels. So to go with the rosé, we've actually just sliced it and we've dressed it with agrumato, which is an olive oil that they make on the farm where they cold press blood oranges and the olives together, and you get this very aromatic olive oil. It's beautiful. Some oregano on the dish that we dried last year. So you're more than welcome to kind of just sprinkle that over the dish or crumble it over the dish. And then buffalo mozzarella from the farm. Alta makes it. It's definitely one of our iconic products. Tomatoes that's just simply dressed in that olive oil I told you about, and then a vinegar that Aileen, which is like our garden chef or innovation chef, she really works with a lot of wasted product and how can we rework that product into different things we can use. So she made a berry vinegar that we dressed the tomatoes with, and then we've just paired it with things that work with tomato. So I love celery and tomato, I love onion and tomato, and we've done like a little pickled onion, a little bit of spring onions. So just like a very simple winter salad, if I could call it that. I love the mozzarella just like that. I don't think you can do anything to it to make it better, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
I have no doubt I will. I'm going to grab a glass of the wine, if I may there, Jonathan, purely for research purposes, of course, and not because I absolutely love it. Jonathan, thank you. Your pouring technique is splendid. All right, so I'm going to give myself a reminder of the wine, which, for, again, purely research purposes, I'm sure along with all of the other wines here at Babylonstoren, you must be regularly drinking, engaging with the winemakers to ensure that you can find that sense of symmetry between restaurant and winery.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to make that part of what we offer. We actually had a wine club event a few weeks ago where they opened up some really special bottles, and we try to make a menu around these wines. And we're in regular communication with them. We regularly invite them for lunch and say, come sit down, come see what we're doing, what are you doing. It is definitely an integral part of the meal, for some more than others. But yeah, it does form like a cornerstone of the menu.
All right, I'm going to dig in. That fresh oregano, rigani, as my Greek wife would call it, my mother-in-law, I frequently suspect she's going to get arrested because she comes back from Greece with these packets of what look like marijuana, dried up.
We just hung it up in our bakery for about a year in these massive bunches. When they're flowering, they're at the best for us. You'll actually see the tomatoes for a winter tomato taste like something. So if you buy a tomato at the moment from the store, it's probably not going to taste like much. There's no sun, so
So if you listen very, very closely, that's the sound of angels playing harps in the background behind me. I love this. It is so simple, but
it's very,
it is just delightful.
It's not overcomplicated. There's actually no cooking in the dish. It's just dressing and seasoning.
You are selling yourself very short, Mr. Chef, because this is not as simple as it might look or as you claim.
Just some thought and restraint.
Oh, and restraint is such an important word, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah. I think the food can very quickly become overcomplicated, and like I said, then you start ending up with this plate of food that's almost muddled. It doesn't speak of the environment and the terroir it actually comes from.
Skull, that is a joy. My only worry is that it might be a one-off. I'm not sure if you can replicate this. So I'm going to come back every day for the next week just to be sure that you can get this absolutely right.
We actually taste the dish every single day. We taste the whole menu before lunch and dinner every
really?
single day, the whole team. So yeah, we're pretty spot on with the dishes.
Can I have a job? It is absolutely glorious. I'm going to happily finish this off. Thank you. I look forward to coming back for the full restaurant experience. And what you have done here is made sure that the wine team have to stay on the game, because if the food is this good, they're going to have to be working hard as well.
Glad you enjoyed it then.
Magic. Scott,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so amazing dish. I'm going to polish this off. There's no way I'm leaving any of this, especially to my very hungry production team. But once that's done, it's off to the cellar and what for me is the heartbeat of any great wine estate. So we've nailed the garden, we've had a stroll through some of the shops, we've had a really good meal with Chef Skulk, and we've had a taste of some of the wine. But to wrap up, it's the chance to have a slightly broader look at some really, really great South African wines that I've come to enjoy over the years. And I'm in some pretty good hands to do so, because Roscoe, you are my guide to some of these wines. Tell me about your love of wine. Where did it start?
So my love of wine actually started when I arrived on the farm as well. I used to be, I was a barman, a part-time barman at the time, but my love of wine actually started on the farm. When I started working on the farm, I started embracing wine much more. So my love actually started deeply more while working at the estate. Because over here, this is a new experience and very different in terms of how we work with wine over here.
And it seems to have become a real passion for you.
That's correct, yes sir. That's correct. For me personally, wine drinking is a passion. I'm South African, so it's a passion. That's within my veins.
Well, you've got some pretty good wine to be able to indulge that passion with. There is so much to do here at Babylonstoren, but I think this is the most important place because you get to come and sample the wine, and it's the chance for you to show off the best of the estate to so many people every day.
Yeah, yes, most definitely indeed. And over here, I believe, as a wine guide now at the moment, I believe in wine over matter. A lot of people think about wine over matter, but with me, it's wine over matter.
I think that's a splendid philosophy, and it's one that we shall charge into because we have three wines here, starting with, this is one of the most iconic Club Classique bottles in the country. You see this and immediately, that's Babylonstoren, I know it well. Tell me about this Club Classique and what for you makes it so special?
Okay, so the Club Classique that we will now be indulging very shortly is basically the first wine that was produced on the farm. The farm started to make their wines in 2011, so this was the first wine that started to make on the farm. And it's also more importantly about the process of the wine, because the time span that we spend on the wine to make the wine, it takes us 55 months to complete the wine. So there's a lot of labor involved in the wine, so it makes it much more special. So once you open up a wine after 55 months, it's just a celebration of life.
Now, you don't need to have it for that long, obviously, but you've given it that extra time for the richness, for the intensity. It does require a bit of patience, though, because you've got to wait a full 55 months to taste the fruit of the labour.
That's the thing, but all good things in life take time, so you have to wait.
All right, I shall toast to that.
There we go, so cheers on
Cheers,
that.
Roscoe.
There we go.
Thank you.
So basically, the wine that you are now having is a Sprankel Club Classique. The vintage that we are now currently on is on 2019. And as I mentioned to you now that the wine takes us 55 months to complete. So firstly, the first fermentation happens normally in a stainless steel tank. Second fermentation of the Sprankel Club Classique happens in the bottle itself. But before we put it into the bottle for second fermentation, we keep it on a secondary release to intensify the wine a little bit more. So it's mainly Chardonnay, 90% Chardonnay, 10% Pinot Noir. And this will over here, lovely lime zesty wine with notes of green apple on the nose as well. Lovely to enjoy as a starter with some fresh oysters.
or just on its own, or with loads of other meals, I'm sure, because there is so much to the wine. That 55-month waiting time has given it that luxuriance, that intensity.
So on the nose, you will get all that aroma as well, but beautiful wine. And also, since the wine is still busy going through a fermentation process, you can still keep the wine in the bottle for roughly 10 years as well. So that's just to intensify the wine at home. So you?
There is no chance in my house this wine's lasting 10 years.
So you're the same thing, you're the same person as me. As soon as it arrives, it must depart.
All right, 90% Chardonnay, which means it is a nice welcome to our second wine, because this is your Chardonnay,
That's
a little
good.
younger. There's a real Chardonnay resurgence in South Africa. This, I'm sure, is part of it. Tell me about this one.
So this is the Chardonnay over here of 2024. Now the Chardonnay is actually our flagship white wine. It takes us 12 months to complete the wine. It's a fully oaked white wine. So we mainly make use of French oak on the wine, but we give it 35% new oak and 65% older barrels. But as you mentioned now that the wine is still a little bit young in the bottle, so it needs roughly a year to a year and a half to intensify, smoothen out a little bit more. So give it time. Also like a red wine, it will get much better in the bottle as well. So it ages well.
Again, you've got to have the patience and the strength of will to not drink it, but the joy of a slightly older Chardonnay is immense.
That's good. So that lovely lemon curd on it as well, vanilla on the nose, and sometimes you get a little bit of butter biscuit on the palate as well.
The oak certainly comes through, but it's not oak that's screaming and shouting and kicking up a fuss. It's quietly making itself felt in the background and lifting up the rest of the wine.
That's correct. And that's why we only give the wine, we don't give it proper new oak, we give it 35% new oak and 65% older barrels, so that we can smooth out the wine a little bit more, so that it's much more enjoyable on the palate as well.
2 down. The third one is one where the challenge for most is not the drinking of the wine, but the pronunciation of the name.
Okay. So the red wine that we are now having is basically our flagship red wine. It's our Nebuchadnezzar. The Nebuchadnezzar is based, the name itself, Nebuchadnezzar, it goes back to the 6th century, because Nebuchadnezzar was the longest reigning emperor in the 6th century, and it was the king of the hanging gardens of Babylonia. That's why it's fitting for us to mention his name in our story. And this over here is a beautiful Bordeaux stout red blend. 5 grape sorts on it of your Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Malbec and Petit Verdot. Dominant Cab Sav, 24 months on new oak, so the wine can also age well, but as we now talked about it as well, not a chance for a wine to be kept in a bottle for 20 years. Best to enjoy it now. And over here you will get much more cigar box on the nose, and on the palate, lovely black currant aromas as well.
It is one of the joys of a lot of our top quality red wine. The wine will over 10, 15, 20 years develop into something magnificent, but right now it's not abrasive to drink. It's not difficult to drink at all. It is youthful certainly, but in a very welcoming manner.
That's correct. It's easy approachable. It's easier approachable, because also keep in mind with the Nebuchadnezzar, we also don't over oak the wine by giving it a lot of new oak. It's 85% of the wine is new oak and 15% is a little bit older barrels to smooth out the wine. And keep in mind, for the whole 24 months that we age the wine, we keep all 5 cultivars for 23 months apart. On the 24th month, we combine those 5 grapes together so that it can integrate with one another for roughly a month, and then afterwards we complete the process. So it only matters once it's in the bottle.
All right, so they've had that time to get to know each other. It is a lot of new oak, but you've got a lot of Cabernet Sauvignon in, so that does make perfect sense. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the rule with this wine, because it is rather good, and you do want to have more than one glass, but if on the third go you still can't say Nebuchadnezzar, it is then time to stop and go to bed.
Most definitely. Sleeping time, sir. Beautiful nightcap.
Oh dear. Roscoe, in summary, because you've given me 3 lovely, lovely wines here, just for you, the joy of being part of this Babylonstoren team and of day in, day out, giving people this experience, the wine, the surrounds, the joy of such an exquisitely beautiful part of South Africa.
Yeah, so it's, for me personally, it's a privilege to work on the farm as well. I've been here on the farm myself for 9 years now at the moment. So basically you're talking to furniture at the moment. So I'm part of the furniture. So this is my lifestyle at the moment. And making wine and a part of the daily life in terms of how we process and how we deliver it to people, just to see smiles on people's faces when we deliver good wines to them. that's much more enjoyable for me every day. And that's why I come to work.
Well, those smiles will do well to beat the smile on your face, because you're clearly having a great deal of fun here. 3 terrific wines. Thank you for guiding them through me so expertly and for giving me the perfect finish to my day at Babylonstoren.
Here we go. So cheers to that.
Cheers, Roscoe.
Pleasure.
I absolutely love new experiences, and when they are wine related, all the more so. I've heard a lot about the museum at Babylonstoren. Apparently it's very cool, apparently it's interactive, there's a lot of fun stuff to do, but a lot to learn along the way. For me, that sounds absolutely perfect. My first visit, I am excited. Come along. And how is that? I wasn't expecting to walk into such a brightly lit and fun space. There are things to do everywhere, and I am going to do all of them. If you haven't been here, well, now you know you should. It's the Wine Museum at Babylonstoren. It's a history of wine. It's a history of Babylonstoren. It looks like it's loads of fun. Cheers. And as I left the cellar, as if to entice me to come back, the sun decided to finally make an appearance. Oh, I probably didn't need any further encouragement to return, but I certainly will, because although I've explored a fair amount of Babylonstoren today, there is so much more to see. It is such a dynamic space. It's home to wonderful people, terrific wine, fresh produce, a great restaurant, and so much more. Put it on your list if you haven't already, and if you do come back, well, there's a pretty good chance you'll see me here.